This conference will now be recorded.
Next week. Holidays, but if you don't get ready for the holidays, I get my Christmas items on the 3rd. He wasn't coming to count. He's over 8. Cause I seen one today on the road that the VA hospital is on. On the Ramsey. Yeah, I thought one day it's owned by the county. Yeah, some of the county people with the home. Yeah, we're the only one in the county, but yeah, I think he's got 8 stores. Wow. 8 or 10 stores. He closed 2 down. But it had 10 before. Yeah. How many years ago? They closed one out on that's because of Fort Bragg. I think Fort Bragg may have their own. Yeah, they got the Class 6. Fort Bragg, I think. No, Class 6. That's what they call it, Class 6. They probably got 2 or 3 stores. Wow. Is yours delivered by the state or delivered by
so many, so many people working inside.
But that's what this Medicaid
Hey, how are you? Thank you, man. It really is. If we don't get ready now, it won't ever get it.
Everybody runs from home, private facilities, they sell going, then they put more moratorium on people eat half.
Yep.
Got rid of it.
You sell a lot to bakers? People that bake and cake. I used to have one that couldn't even get out of the car. Older man. She called me. Said, what you want, guys? Up to the door. They won't. She came in the street. That's their father. Maybe I can get out of the car. I do.
And they had to get all of them when they took it, did away with when they did away with coroner, they had to bring all of them in line because the guy was complaining. So we had to get served something like that. They try to bring them on in line. See what they're scared of right now. They were scared of it. We've been inserted into the line.
Association with
Nation.
It's for more of the company.
Hasn't been approved.
When does it begin? It hasn't been approved. It hasn't been approved. We're going through the motions now.
Those certain portions. Guys come in, a lot of the guys working trying to keep their staff. People guys that come, they try to take their staff. They get rid of the court, whether it be.
Welcome to the Bladen County Board of Commissioners special meeting to discuss redistricting process and consider approval of the transition work plan for Bladen County during the process of disengagement from East Point. This is a workshop for commissioners and there will not be no comments from the floor tonight. Next week will be the public hearing and we invite you to come back in if you have something to say, okay? So at this time, I ask Reverend Kevin to do lead some prayer. Mr. Martin leads some pledge allegiance.
Pray. Father, thank you for stewardship. Thank you for the privilege of living in a good community, many assets, many resources, most of which is our people. Father, to whom much is given, much is required. I pray that we might be faithful to the call, faithful to our duties and our responsibilities to our constituents. That always we would do the right thing and have discernment of the Holy Spirit to guide our thoughts, our words, and our actions. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item one is consider and adopting a resolution approving the transition work plan for Bladen County during the process of disengagement from East Point. What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Mr. Stockdale made a motion and, Mr. Green seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So item two is this discussion regarding, redistrict plans. I think what I need to do, I don't know where this is gonna go, or how long it's gonna take, but we're here to finish. I think I'll open it up for discussion. If anybody's got any questions, start with, or if anybody's got any questions, we'll try to answer them, or Ms. Roberts from, Lumber River Council of Governments here. So if anybody has any questions, I'll open it up now for questions. Mr. Martin?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to explain for the benefit of public particularly, I know you all know it. But with the new census numbers, Bladen County's population divided by the three districts equals 9,869 people per district. In an ideal situation, you divide it equally. District 1 was off by just over 15%. That number, the variance needs to be in the 5 to 10%. There's a rule of 10. They call it a rule of 10 that doesn't need to vary by more than 10%. Janet can speak to this better than I can, probably. But that's the reason that we're here and going through this process, because District 1's population is low, and so we need to increase it, and therefore that requires you taking from other districts.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Anybody got any questions?
I got one.
Mr. Stockdale?
Directed to the Ms.
You want to come to this table, ma'am?
Certainly. Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
The one that I have that I want to ask is, when we initially started, we started with 3 maps. And what I'm trying to find out, what is the criteria that you use to add a map?
Ms. Stockdale, she can't answer that. I'll answer that. When we met in small groups, our topic and our discussion was input from the commissioners. And some input come in there that they want to see another map, so I called and got a map drawn. So I'm the one that got all these maps drawn to request.
That's what I'm asking her. She drew the map up.
She drew, that's the request.
At your request, and I'm trying to ask her, if you let her answer this, what criteria and directives, why did you draw maps and implement them to, what's the reason for the adjustments, and what did you use to support your adjustments? That's what I'm asking.
I look at the population in each block, and I add a block somewhere, and I might have to take a block away somewhere else so the population will stay within the required range, or the range it should be. There have been, shouldn't be over more than under or over 10%. In some recent cases, they wanted up to 5%. So some of these later ones have statistics that are closer to or slower, but not as far apart from the ideal.
The question I'm asking, what was the specific instruction given to you for you to draw the maps up the way you did? That's what I'm asking you. You had that done. What the instruction was given to you for you to change it? That's what I'm asking. What criteria do you use?
It was me that done the request. Well, she answered based on my request.
I'm asking, what did she use?
What's the question?
Ella answered the question. She drew the map up.
Actually, there are 2 of us that are working on redistricting. We are doing redistricting for 2 counties and 2 towns. Jan Maynard and I are both working on them, and Jan Maynard has done these some of these drafts.
I have a question. You said my requirements. What were your requirements to do? And what, under what act, statute, or what, that you're making this decision? might help understand.
Statute 153A20, map of electoral district.
I can barely hear you. Sorry.
Statute 153A20, map of electoral district. Would you like me to read?
Yeah, the part, because you're saying that the rule 10, you won't have a release of a variant less than 10%. And so there, I know when we started, according to Mr. Martin, when he gave us the printout, the only variant was in District 1. And so how did you guys decide, or what did you use to try to reduce that 15%?
Well, you just look at the population of different blocks, and you'll pick one. It's probably pretty random because I don't know anything about Bladen County. You look at the population to see if it'll bring it up or down, one way or the other.
And we end up with 2. And so then we got a third map, and then a fourth map, and a fifth map. So what's the requirement to what?
There is not a requirement for how many maps.
No, I mean the map. I mean the variants. Those variants. Then you went to do the different variants, and how did you make the decision to change those variants? Because some didn't make. I guess because you said you don't know Bladen County. So why did you? Let's say, for example, I couldn't see 4 or 5. One of them. It wasn't a 4. Then you went into District 2 and switched, but they weren't very, well, that's where there were more people. And District 2, they need to be shifted to maybe District 1 to reduce the percentage of the loss. Am I correct?
I'm sorry. Okay.
Your initial assessment, when you look at the variance was in District 1, that was a loss. And District 2, I think, had more, the population was larger. So then you went in and did you switch, and then you start pulling from District 2 to go District 1, right?
I went from both districts. I mean, to begin with, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah, they were both District 2 and District 3 are over, are higher in population than the ideal population.
Okay.
So it didn't matter what I went to look at both of them, just see how it worked.
And then you went to then you went to map 4. And how'd you come up with that? I mean, I don't understand. Can somebody tell me what the difference on these? If there are 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Yeah, up in the left-hand corner, it will say.
Okay, I see it 1. Okay. Okay, I see 3 now. So I still look and I realize that, let me just use 3, for example. District 1 is down 8%, or probably about 8%, but yet and still District 2 and District 3 were over. So why would they create that map? You understand? Because there's 10,000 on this one, 10,000 something here, and still less than 1,000 over here. I don't understand that. Why would you create a map like that then?
It's not a law of how much percentage. It's kind of it's an understanding or let's see how they say it. In the law, it doesn't say 5 or 10%, but there have been court cases in the legislative district that asked for 5% or 10%, and that's what we're going by. But it doesn't have to be 5% or 10%. It's looked at that less than 5% is the best, but that's not a written law.
But it's just 8% though. It's over.
But it's over 10% is what we look at first.
Right.
And I think it was October 8th, we were presented with this, memo from the school of government. It gave us some case laws that talked about 5% or 10%, have both been used, and the best is 5%, but it's not a written law. So we looked at all sorts of,
Scenarios.
scenarios.
And so why'd you come up, I mean, so I understand that. I guess I'm trying to figure out what was your, rubric, what were you using to say move this many, or what did you use? Just throw it out in the air and just come up with something?
I just looked at the population of the block.
Mr. Brett.
Ma'am, I assume by having 6, of course, any and all, and some of them could obviously work, but I'm assuming that the 6 would be what I'm looking at. Just see which one of the 6 that works for you, to have a choice of what you think would work best for the county would be out of the 6. In other words, that gives us a choice by having 6. Am I correct in saying that? That's all. Thank you.
Well, this is my first experience doing the redistricting. It's kind of been neat to learn the map a little bit better than I knew it. Just want to, I guess, make something really clear. Certainly, in my mind, we were meeting and looking at the maps and being encouraged, hey, if you got any thoughts, suggestions, comments, concerns, ideas, share them. So I think it's good to do that. So I did. There was certainly no political strategy or anything like that. Simply was, to me, common sense. So I made a suggestion to the chairman, just based on the last 10 months of working. Am I missing something?
We're gonna stay quiet, or we're gonna have the room clear.
Yeah. You don't know me,
Cameron.
And just looking at the map, over the last 10 months, we've had just a lot of stuff going on with issues with sewage and all. So I've been spending a lot of time at Bay Tree and getting to know the folks. So my thought was, what's good for White Lake's good for Bay Tree. They're sort of connected.
And East Arcadia and Elizabeth County, everybody, I agree with you. I'm sorry.
Let him finish, please.
But to say East Arcadia and Bay Tree have common denominators compared to White Lake and Bay Tree, that's just totally different. But anyway, so I said, that makes sense. You know, the folks at Bay Tree, the fact is they feel like they don't know their representative. They don't even know what district they're in or who they're, that's just fact. It's a long ways. I mean, it is. It's like, to be honest, I feel bad because I don't do much for the folks in Tobermore. I need to get up. Okay, that's just because it's just a long way. But it's bothersome when you get an email that goes out to everybody that accuses the person who just simply made an innocent suggestion. At the end of the day, it's not a hill on which to die for me. But to say I'm doing something unethical simply because I think Bay Tree and White Lake have common interest and would benefit from being in the same district. And that was, I don't think anybody would disagree that has a level of common sense. Again, we talked, I can represent the folks at Bay Tree and be a voice for them, whether they're in my district or not. So it's not but just understand, politically, it's probably not a good move for the commissioner from District 3 to take in Bay Tree. There's a lot of politically minded folks out there with a lot of money that might just run and take my seat. So nothing political, just some common sense that I think Bay Tree and White Lake would be benefited for being in the same district.
Mr. Bull.
Other question I have, you mentioned county. How did you determine which street to delete or add? How did you determine that?
You look at the blocks, and most blocks go by street.
Yeah.
But not all blocks. But I'm just looking at the population of blocks. And I do want to tell you that most of these were not done by me. They were done by counterpart, Jan Maynard.
Janet, don't you listen to her.
You know, the thing about it though, when you look at these maps, things like particular streets were placed in particular maps or particular districts. And it seems strange how that was done when you said James did it. But you said you didn't know Bladen County, but yet still you went according to certain streets. Well, the map drawing went according to certain streets. Maybe Jan should be here to kind of talk about how she got involved with it.
I'm sorry.
I'm good.
Dr.
I want to address, Mr. McGill. You probably had information that I did not have. You were privy to information that I was not. So that's the reason why I said it's unethical. I was unethical because I sat into a meeting with the chair and two other commissioners and Mr. Martin, and no one said anything about another map or any information, but they were privy to the information. But I didn't have it until after the fact, after I talked to Mr. Martin. So that's the reason why I said it's unethical. When you do things and only a select people have it, but then you want me to vote on something, but I don't have the facts.
Dr. I'm going, you should have sent the email to me that I was unethical.
I said to everyone.
No, but you talked about Mr. Martin being unethical.
I said to everyone. I said it's unethical.
But
I thought it was unethical.
when we met with y'all that evening, I didn't know that she could do that, man. We requested, but we didn't know it would work. So that's the reason I didn't mention it. I didn't have a clue that it would work.
Okay.
And Jan told me that. So I was gonna tell you something that I didn't know.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Martin.
in all, I don't know what the word is. As soon as I had the information, I immediately sent it or as soon as I saw it, I immediately forwarded it to the commissioner. So there was no information other than the fact that Mr. McGill had requested that.
Right.
That was the extent of anything that could have been said, but honest to goodness, that did not cross my mind.
But like you said, and I understood that. Once you said that you were privy to the information a couple of days before. And
Well,
we
the
sent it
afternoon
to,
before. Or the morning before.
or whatever. Okay, and so that was on, I think they went, and I meet on Thursday.
Okay, that's right.
Okay, and so for that reason, I said, now, we talked about a map, but no one said anything. So that was the reason I thought it was a method, because you had it to the meeting to talk about, and you could share that, it's not you, but as a whole. And so that's my comment. So yes, it was ethical if you want to do something without us being, that's fair, full, all the information.
The thing that I'm trying to direct at her and I ask the question specifically her first started. I think that I thought Ms. Maynard was going to be here, but you'll find it's fine because I know who proposed the map. But I had spoken with the group here about the reason why the 3 districts were implemented in Bladen County from start. They came about through a lawsuit, and I had spoken with Mr. Martin, and Mr. Peterson was aware of it. And normally, I've been in this transition this will be the 3rd time that I've seen them redraw these maps. And my only concern that I had is why did we go into this map this time and look at a population and start removing pieces out of a district that was already level and not strategically go into some of the other districts and start adding back to this way instead of taking stuff out of District 1. And when I tried to figure out why did we go in, and like he was wanting to pull Bay Creek Lakes out, and I'm saying, why do you need to mess with District 1 to remove anything? Because normally when we did the maps, we would go simply and leave the map status quo. And if District 1 was like it, or either District 2 or District 1, you would just surgically go in and take and insert back the population that was attached to it. You go to the closest proximity and you will put it back to make sure that those numbers match. But to start surgically going into it and removing stuff out of the district that didn't have the counter. My thing was I thought we were going to go straight into District 3 and District 2. Whichever one that took out the Bay Creek Lakes and some of the stuff out of District 1. It was one of the 3rd map or the 4th map. Whichever map that was. And I couldn't understand why. And I was reading, I asked, what do you use as criteria to start moving people? why did you go into that district and start tearing that district apart or removing anything out of it? When it already was left. And normally we just, I'm just saying, y'all, just trying to see historically.
I'm trying to answer it. I mean,
The way we did it, we just go in.
we did that, Mr. Carter, because it was requested. We got these maps here and there's nothing been decided.
Okay, I understand.
There's a whole lot of information here for us, this commission, to decide which one you want, one or two you want to present to the public here.
Okay, but that,
I mean, I understand y'all not happy the way the process.
No,
went,
but what I'm
this is
saying,
what we got.
this is where we said, and Ophelia said the unethical part. And I somewhat agree with that wholeheartedly, because when we did that, it was not the normal process, and we were not informed that we were gonna do that. I thought when we got, wait a minute now, I thought when we got to that process, we'd be having a hearing like we're sitting here now. When we started adjusting those three maps, we would be sitting here getting ready to implement new maps, not coming with new maps before we got here, because the group had not had a discussion about changing maps.
We had a discussion and we asked for input from commissioners when we presented those maps. Do you want to say anything different?
What I'm saying, Mr. Peter.
And now, Mr. Martin, help me here. I want
Mr. Peter, what I'm trying to say, now hear what I'm saying.
For comments?
I'm getting back to one particular thing that I'm saying. When we had small groups, we were somewhat opposed to it. And I did not know that was gonna come out of a small group, this type of discussion. When we had that meeting, I didn't even know this was gonna be in the discussion. But it came up in the discussion, but you brought it here. I never figured and never knew that you guys were having a small meeting group to even do anything about something like this. I didn't know that was gonna happen. If I had known that, I would have been worried. I thought we had three maps.
Decide anything.
But I thought we had three maps. I didn't know we was at a point that we were gonna start asking for additional maps.
Well, I didn't understand there was only gonna be three maps.
That's what Mr. Martin told me. He said Cobb had prepared three maps.
But that doesn't mean that that's all we're gonna have to was.
Well, evidently we had a breakdown in communication.
Mr. Carter, if you would ask me to draw a map, I would have had it drawn.
I'm not concerned with that. It was just a breakdown in communication.
You would request a map. If you request a map right now, we'll get it drawn for you.
But when we had the small group meeting, what I'm saying, Ms. Ellis, and you guys, were anybody aware that before we had these groups, in totality, that we were gonna be talking about district maps in that meeting?
You saying you didn't know what the meeting was about?
Not with district maps.
Not to change them.
You knew the special meeting was for the district map.
And for the ARP funds.
Suggestions and comments.
The ARP funds. ARP funds, nothing to do with no district map.
And he ordered them.
The small group was ARP funds.
Yeah. And he just, that's my point, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Had nothing to do with the map. When I walked in,
The map, a few people had the opportunity to stop by earlier. But a number of commissioners, if I'm not mistaken, had not seen the maps until we.
we had a meeting.
But we've been given, Maria had sent an email and said to come by and see them anytime.
Yeah.
So whether we did or not, that was our own fault or.
But we weren't gonna address those, we weren't aware we were gonna address those maps. If I had known that, I could have said my opinion about it the day we had a small group. We were not informed about that during the small group, that this was even gonna be a
Mr. Carter,
discussion.
you had your chance to form your opinion when we brought it up.
When you asked me about the map, you didn't tell me nothing about the fourth map, what she's saying. When we met that day, you asked us, and Mr. Martin simply asked us, have we looked at the maps? And we said, yes, we looked at the three maps. That's all the knowledge we had. That was the end of the discussion on those maps. That was it.
The only concern I had, during our, and I called Mr. Martin, during our Thursday meeting, we left there about 6:30, I guess it was. Our small group meeting, we left there. I called Mr. Martin about this. And at the end of that small group meeting, we were told to look at three maps. Is that right, Mr. Martin?
There were three maps there.
Yeah, you told us to look at these three maps and to review them. And then that was on Thursday about 6:30, something like that. And then Friday about 12 o'clock, here come a fourth map. The only concern I had about is that the map was being in progress. We should have been advised that, hey, that we got three maps here, and if you want to do a map, but we got a fourth one coming. It seemed like we were playing games because the fourth map was in progress, and we were right there, but they didn't tell us the fourth was in progress.
I didn't know that the map would be drawn.
What you know was in progress, I'm saying.
I requested.
You know it was in progress.
And Mr. Martin, I don't even know if he knew it. I requested.
Mr. Martin knew it was in progress.
Not unusual. I have another town that has 13, drafts.
But you don't understand the communication of with that group. That's all we're talking about. We're not talking about the map itself. It's how you come to the decision or how you put things in where only a select people have that information and no one else. So therefore, we cannot make a decision until everyone's on the same page. That's my point. Not about the number map.
I think it's just, to me, this is more of a work in progress as opposed to 6 options.
But we didn't know that.
Yeah, and hindsight's 20/20 on that. But I think at this point, let me just say, there's a lot of things that we as commissioners disagree on. So we come in here and battle back and forth. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to accomplish right now, we all agree on. We want the best districting maps that represent our people, that divide our county in 3 fairly. I mean, so we're on the same page here is what we ultimately want. And I hate that the process has got us sort of at odds with one another.
I got a question about that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think, I agree with a lot of what a lot of people have said today. I think the biggest thing, getting back to the mention of the maps, and really the small group meetings were about the funding. That's kind of why we're getting together. We thought, okay, let's iron that out, blah, blah, blah. But, I think we all understood, or I did, and going back and reading about the presentation I thought the Council of Governments were gonna present maps, and that's what, I don't think I understood the fact that we could orchestrate or request another area to bring it in. I didn't understand that we could, hey, I want to see what it looks like with so-and-so. And I think that's where the confusion may have come in. And, Dr. Mungolis felt the way she did. I learned that, okay, we can draw another map. You just mentioned there's 13 in another town. I don't think some of us, or I know I'm speaking for myself, I guess, I didn't realize we could do that. Hey, show me what it looks like if I go down and grab some of Bladenboro. Show me what it looks like if I go out and grab so-and-so. So it just leaves, I kind of had the impression that the Council of Governments would do the small nuances like Mike talked about, kind of shimmying here and there to blah, blah, blah. So anyway, like you said, work in progress, and at the end of the day, we'll have X amount of maps and we kind of go from there.
So, is there a map you want to see, Mr. Cogdell? Do you want to see another map? If you do, let me know. We'll adjourn this meeting and get it drawn and come back.
No, my problem wasn't that.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I can't do about that. Do you want to see another new map? We'd be glad to draw whatever map you tell us.
Charles, I don't want to see another map. I just want to make sure that we understand consistently what we're doing to the map. I don't care about the maps. Fine, you got 6 of them here. If you can't figure out 6, what you gonna do? You got 6 maps looking at them. Some people got their wishes, or some of the other guys want one. I don't want to know. I just want a map that's consistent with the way that it should be structured. These 3 districts were structured in a specific design way for representation. They were designed that way. If anybody feels that they have been slighted by a county commissioner, it's 9 of it. That's the reason they put 9 in place. They didn't get 3, didn't get 5, they put 9. They put districts and they put countywide. They took care of all of that when they grew these districts up. So everybody will have representation. 3 countywide and 2 from each district. If they can't get representation from the 2 in their district and the 3 is outside, it's just a sad day for the whole county.
Ms. Janet, is all 6 of these maps drawn, just what he said, they're drawn per request, per statute, they're all, anyone could go, pass?
Anyone could go. The more recent case, the more recent court cases say that the percentage should be, instead of 10 on each side, it should be a total of no more than 10. So if it's,
So 6, 1, and 4 high.
which would be all right, so 7 below and 7.
So are these 6 maps legal?
There is not a law that says what the percentage.
But I'm saying, what was originally designed, is it pretty close to all 6?
Yes.
Okay.
the best the ones that are best statistically, as far as the 5% rule goes, are 4 and 5, and then 6. 6 is not as, 4 and 5 are the best, but there's not a law that says that. It's just, there have been court
I'm
cases.
trying to understand, Mike, I'm trying to,
But Mr. K, what I'm saying is, when you look at district, that map 4, 5, and 6, you got a bunch of county commissioners that's in districts right now that won't even be in the same district.
Right, that's kind of crazy.
You done cut the districts out apart. You done took some of the guys completely out of the thing.
Oh.
How can you figure that's gonna be
Right.
something that we gonna agree on?
Just said, to make some suggestions.
What if I went over there and went in there and put a piece of that, took your house out of it, and put you in District 3, or District 1?
you put me wherever you want to.
I'm just saying, but that's what I'm saying. Some of this don't make
District
sense.
does give up a lot.
What I'm saying, but when you start cutting it the way it's cut, you just taking people out of districts, and it don't seem like it make a whole lot of sense to me.
Mr. Danny, for
What, they're in
Geographically, I'm asking because I don't know, what area, so when you go out and we grab Bay Tree for 3, and then you come over westward and 1, what area is that just east of Bladenboro? Abbotsford, okay, gotcha, okay. So Abbotsford going to 1, Bay Tree going to 3. That's kind of where the shift, is that right?
that's some of it, I think, I don't know.
Okay.
what's all.
How about the area, on 5, where you see that large red arm going towards Bladenboro? That's Abbotsford area
That's
again?
Abbotsford.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the only question I have, then, District 1 was underpopulated, is that it, based on the census? So my question was, what, if you're a section is underpopulated, then you go take people out of that section, that make them further down, doesn't it?
And took some out and put others in.
Can I ask, why, does that make sense though? Is that the common sense? That's what
I'm not saying it makes sense over there. I'm just saying it was requested, the map was requested.
Oh, for different district people, to move people?
I had people in the district ask me to draw a different map, and the last 4 and 5 were people that asked me.
I had people want out of bed, Bladenboro to go to 3.
Well, let's move on.
But it don't make sense. That was not the issue or when we start this process, the only reason why we had to do it is because of the difference in District 1. It had nothing to do with the others unless you had to shift.
It's in the time where changes can be made. It's not,
But what changes needed in District 3, 2, and 3, what changes needed there, other than taking some of their population and moving from 1 to make it balanced?
Let me ask that question.
Let's say, let's.
the first goal was to get the population closer in all things.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that, so you're saying that District 1 should have been reduced first and then added people to it, although it was initially underpopulated.
It needed more population.
So you took some out of there and then add others in.
That was just map 4.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is,
Okay.
is that I'm trying to look at something here. And this board, back in '87, drew up a resolution that went into a federal lawsuit. And me and Greg talked about this resolution. This resolution did not say the numbers. It didn't give you a number of what should have been, but to keep it from going to a judge to decide what the numbers should look like and the percentage. This board in '87 put into a lawsuit, a resolution as to how these districts should reflect. They know population ain't gonna shift. That's just a normal thing. But they put that map in place because of what was happening in the electoral process prior to '87. And that resolution, Greg has seen it. It talks about, and it's in that resolution, how this board should try to formulate representation in the county. And I'm just asking, are we gonna just let this lawsuit come back up again? Or are we gonna look at how that resolution was put together in '87?
And Ms. Carter, she just said that these maps fit that.
I just
All
want to,
six of them.
but what I'm saying, when I look at the map, but what I'm saying, when I look at the maps up here, what's kind of disturbing y'all? Is when I look at the maps coming down percentage-wise, yours is at 65, 67, 68% in District 2. You got District 1 coming down to 49, where it used to be 56, 58. You got some of District 1 dropping off so drastically, so I'm saying, what are we doing? It's not reflecting what the resolution says. I'm not saying we need to sit there and just do this, but at least respect the resolution. But when you get to dropping it down to 49 and 50%, yours not dropping, yours going up every time. Yours going up every time. And I can read, I can look at the numbers. Yours going up every time. District 2 is going up every time. But District 1 is going down. District 3 is going up every time. When you look at it based on demographics, it's shifting drastically. A different direction. That's what I'm saying. I can look at the numbers.
And which ones is it shifting to?
You got one right here where you at 65.
Which one's that?
That's the first one you gave me here. The next one you at 65.
Are you talking about the non-Hispanic white?
Yeah, you're looking at the numbers. That's just that number that you're looking at. Charles over here, you look at this one, you at 66. District 1 went down to 50. You look at this number, the next one over here. You at 64. District 1 goes down to 6.
Where's the numbers from that map right yonder?
Right, for which one?
Right, the way it is right now.
Does this and that.
What's the system map? What's the number?
No one has?
Yeah, right.
I have,
The existing map right there, what is the
what,
number?
no, you want,
The way it is today.
you want statistics of the demographics? What are you asking?
What do you want, Mike?
Non-Hispanic white.
The non-Hispanic and the population
Okay.
ratio across.
And existing right now in
In District
District
2.
1, or in District 2, the non-Hispanic white is 65.27%.
Nothing's changed.
And which one? From district?
District 2, the non-Hispanic white is 65.27%.
And what did it change on the other one? On the District 1?
They come down.
It come down on number 6.
District 1 comes down. They're all over.
What's District 1?
District,
Jan?
is the existing map, District 1 is non-Hispanic white, 35.18.
How about 3?
56.09.
They're going down. And look at numbers. Like
Going down where?
But see, Charles, what I'm saying is, these numbers here,
Right, this draft 1 is 56, District 3 is 56.63, and currently it's 56.09.
no, what I'm saying is if you look at District 3, and you look at that, it's 56 across. Yours is 65. That's the first one on this sheet here. You guys are staying at that percentage all the time, but you got a lower vote that you need to pull to get this one shifted. Should have been shifting to District 1. You try and get us at least a 55 or 58 like the rest of them. But you didn't shift that number that way.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
No,
Charles,
draft 1, right now, draft 1, tell me, I'm trying to understand it.
If you gave me-
Non-Hispanics in District 1 is 36.86.
Charles, here's what I'm trying to do the math.
District 2 is 65.28.
Right.
Well,
I'm saying, Charles,
as of the day, it's 65.27.
what I'm saying, if you look at your district here, you at 58, you at 65, I'm at 50. To me, it would make more sense to me if you took 2 of this percent here and put up here and 2% here to reshift this one. With that population, with the demographic, at least I'll be up to 54 and you up 58, 54 and you'll be at 62.
So, Mr. Conger, what you're saying, just be kind of plain, but ain't no other way. We've got to find more people of color.
That's the way they always shift the map for the last 2 decades.
With all due respect, you ain't gonna get it from Baytree.
But ever since 87.
Oh, that deal is shipped out though.
What I'm saying, Charles, y'all got here, every time that we sit down, Charles was in these, Bill Ray Pate, it was always to shift these numbers where they would reflect basically the same. Come as close as you could get.
Well, what I remember is whatever the percentage was, like this year, like she's talking about, that's what we've always focused on. It didn't matter how you got them, as long as you got them. Let Mr. Mark
Well, the one criteria I am aware of, and I think Janet is as well, is District 1 needs to be a majority minority district. And the fact that 35%, 36% of the population is non-Hispanic white satisfies that category.
So, but it is super satisfies District 2, because it's 21.
No, I'm not saying anything about, I'm at 65% now. That's what I'm saying. So today, on the old map. That's what I'm saying. So I want to be up there where you at too. But that's not the way that the court decided it.
I'm just trying to be sure that everybody has an understanding of what the main court-related settlement speaks to.
I understand what the court said, but when we sit down the last two times, and it wasn't Jane was here when she did the maps. When they strategically moved this map, Jimmy Smith and all of those commissioners, and Billy Ray Payton, the Republican, he was sitting there. It was to try and reflect that everybody had the same percentage as close as you could get it, based on those particular demographics for each one of those districts. That was the way it was. If you go pull back the map right now and show what those graphics were, District 1 was at 56 or 57%.
What, 87?
When they did the last
That is the map right there. She just give you the numbers on, Mr. Cogdell. That's the one Jimmy Smith and Billy Ray Payton done 10 years ago. 65%.
And what was the one on the blacks in that?
In District 2,
District 1.
District 1, the, blacks in District 1, 51.97%, the whites are 35.18%.
But see, when you shift, and when we shifted, that's what they were shifting, District 3 and District 1. Those districts were so separated that you could look at the majority of who had the majority where it went to.
But what I'm saying is, 10 years ago when we did it, she just gave you the numbers 10 years ago.
Charlie, your district has always been complicated.
Well, it was designed for that.
That's what I'm saying.
Just like District 1 was designed the way it is.
And that's just what he said.
What was District 3 back doing back 10 years ago?
Well, these are the districts, 2010 districts with 2020 census information. I did not bring the 2010 census.
All right, so this ain't right. What you talking ain't right.
What did you just give me the numbers for? That map right there?
Yeah.
That's
That
2020.
That's the 2020 census.
Census in the 2010.
But it was designed in 2010.
No.
The boundary lines were.
The boundary lines were in 2010.
But still, the population numbers weren't the
But the
same.
population has changed.
Population changed.
So I asked you for the numbers back on that map right there.
She don't have that.
Well, that's not what you,
That's not
give
on
me
here.
something different.
I misunderstood.
Okay. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm just going on what you say, but
I know when I see it, get those maps. All the
You had the numbers correct.
The only one that was offset was always was District 2. Yours was always constant, but the rest of it was moved up to those two was moved up higher than where it was at. That's what I'm trying to tell you, y'all.
So you're wanting a higher percentage of non-white. That's correct? Is there a way to take the map and make that happen?
Yes, but let me tell you how we did it the last time when we did it in 2010. 2010, you look at the district that comes here in District 3. It used to be that Lewis Village, this is an apartment complex over here, all of that was in District 3. When the population came in 2020, they took all that population and put it back in District 1 to make sure that percentage reflected the percentage that they
I'm
want
talking
to
about
be.
now.
You can do the same thing now.
Where?
You have to go through and just draw your boundaries and look at the population.
Well, I think we've looked at that, and there's just, and again, I know what I'm saying sounds prejudiced, and it's not, but there's just not pockets of non-white that I know of. There's not like you can move
Why don't you
streets
answer
over.
the job of map you're talking about?
And then we sound, cause see, I looked at Bottom Branch. One side of Peanut Plant Road is in District 3.
Yeah.
And one side is in District 2. And those are blacks that you can shift back a different rate, shift away from you. It's different ways you can shift
Well,
those
that's not
numbers.
very nice.
That's what I'm saying, but you can shift them. That's what they would do. They would shift just those numbers. Where they took that amount and put it back in yours, because they didn't want ours to get too high. They gave them to you in District 2.
Right.
Now we need to put them back.
Why don't y'all get together and propose a map?
Okay, we'll get together then, because they need to come back. There's numbers that we need to go into and insert them and put them back in.
I think
Ball and Branch in District Two.
Ball and Branch, yeah, some of that's in District
That's
Two.
what it is.
That's in District Two. Much of it's in District Two.
So we can go to District One then and make it closer to 50-50?
No, I'm saying, just bring it.
No, I mean, this is kind of like what we're talking about, so why can't we do District One the same way?
I'm saying, but you got how
Why don't we
do it?
bring it up to like 50-50?
What do you mean?
50 white, 50 minority, whatever.
That's how the law, that's how the law says.
Nonsense. That mean we go there and take
Well,
charge.
it sounds like that's what we're talking about, the process right
No,
now.
No, that's not what he's doing.
it's no different.
Maybe I'm in left field. and I
But that ain't what y'all, see,
That's what I think everybody's gathering from it.
But what I'm saying,
It would be impossible for us to go into District Two and make District Two look like what you just asked. Look at the
That's what
numbers.
I've been hearing, sitting here the whole time.
But you can't make District Two look that way. But there's not enough blacks in that quarter that you got right now in District Two to even do it, unless you come all the way up in Elizabethtown, everywhere else and take them out. It
Well, that's
won't work.
the thing, and if you take 100 people and 50 are white and 50 are black, you're not gaining anything.
What we need to do is look at the map, and I'll get with her and Jane, and maybe we need to sit down and draw a map.
Mr. Martin and myself.
Well, whatever, and draw a map to put those sectors in that would show those blowing blocks and where they at. You look at people coloring people, whatever, you go there and put
You
it
got
on.
the percent, I'm confused though, I mean, what difference does it, help me understand, what difference does it matter where the lines are if you got the percentages?
It makes a big difference.
Well, that's what I know.
See, you just see, what I'm saying is, you taking.
Tell me what it is.
Okay. Now, looking at myself,
Okay.
you got me, one map got me in District One, another map District One, another map District Three, another map District Three, another map District Two.
So you vote on the one you want.
Yeah, no, but that don't make any
You
sense.
got 13, we got 6. I mean, you vote on, I'm gonna vote on the one I want.
Well, yeah, that's fine. That's what y'all, that's what I'm doing.
Is there some we can get rid of
That's what
tonight, Mr. Chairman? Is there some that we could get rid of and take it from 6 down to a smaller number? And then you guys look at the ones that are still on the table and make, I mean, we've said, make adjustments, make suggestions.
The ones that came with the biggest shift scenario to me was when you came up, we looked at 1, 2, and 3. They were very, just tapped on the outlines. They won't move a whole lot. They were just tapped on the outside. These other 4, 5, and 6, my God, you done went in there and surgically put all kind of mess up in there. Throw them back in the crack. Throw them in the crack.
And listen, Bay Tree is not a hill on which to die for me. Again, you're not helping your cause by keeping Bay Tree. And,
It ain't gonna hurt it. It ain't hurt it in the last 40 years.
you know, I'm amazed if Bay Tree's so important. How come nobody's been out there?
I go out there. I go out there. I go to the fire department there. I talk to the fire chief there. I talk to some of the people there. Okay, I used to be friends with people there, but they've left and some died. So yeah, I've been there for years. I work with them. So for the ones, maybe new people there that I have not met, so it's amazing. It's like Tracy. I knew him years with Tracy before. Okay,
But what I'm saying is,
that's the guy. All the people live out there.
but Charles, let me make
Who
one.
wants to do a map?
Charles, let me make one last thing.
Back to what, Commissioner McGill said, some of the people in Harlow and White Oak say they don't have representation.
Right, all of them. And if you can't meet everyone, you haven't met everyone yet.
Absolutely, but I'm there. I mean, the signs were everywhere. I'm out handing out pamphlets, shaking hands.
I want to say something though, just, I mean, I hear this and, you know, honestly, you know, Thomas is not in my district, right?
Right.
You know, anybody on a given day, and I think we all know this, and I'll balk at all of you if you don't agree. It doesn't matter to me either, but we all represent everybody in the county.
That's right.
It's not like all of a sudden Charles Ray is, you know, or Ray or you, Cameron. We, you know, it's, if there's items to bring up to the commissioners or to the county manager, bring them up.
That's right.
You know, it's not like, you know, that's just my feeling about it, regardless. And like you just said, hey, it'll come down to vote for what you want. It doesn't matter. That's all you can do. You know, but
Do you want any map drawn?
no,
Do you want to see anything else, Mr. Cameron? Do you, Mr. Britt? Do you, Mr. Mark? Do you, Mr. Bulletin? Do you?
have one. I can use one.
Okay,
I have
you
one.
and Mr. Cardell stay after the meeting.
But let me say one thing, and I have.
And we're gonna meet, we're gonna come back Monday. What time you want to come back Monday?
Wait a minute.
Monday's the first, you gotta meet.
But let me
You
comment.
gotta do it.
While you're doing that, I want to make a comment, and Dr. Ellis is correct. He had someone in my district went to him. They didn't call me. Okay, and Dr. Ellis gave me a call, and that person called me. And I took care of it, and I shared that information and the results with Dr. Ellis. Same thing, he complained, where they called me, Trouble they called me. Why no? I mean, they talk to me because I know them. So I
What
don't
time do you
care.
wanna meet Monday? For the board meeting?
Has to be early.
You tell me.
4:30, 4:30, 5
We gotta meet before then, we ain't done things tonight.
Well, to me, can we do 5? I mean,
You
I don't know if you can do it an hour and a half, but whatever time the board wants to do it, so when we're trying, we gotta finish this thing, we have to meet every day next week.
We got, Monday's the board meeting. Do we have to have it done by this board meeting?
We need to be getting something for the public hearing, so we publicize it.
That's a good point, Mr. Chairman. Really where we are now in terms of trying to move to the next step in the process is narrowing it down so that there's at least, I would think no more than 2 options to present to the public for the purpose of the public hearing. But you don't want them coming and talking about 5 or 6 different.
So these right here, so we don't want to narrow these down tonight.
Yeah, that's way if you can.
Well, why do you want,
Whatever you can do.
which ones you don't, I mean, we need to see them all, we need to see them all.
My recommendation, well, you can't see them all down and keep narrowing. Got to narrow something out.
Well, let's do it when we get everything on the board. We ain't gonna come to a consensus tonight.
How soon can you make a map and get the map we want drawn back?
I can do it tomorrow.
Well, me and LP gonna get you a map and look at them out there, cause that map, these things, that 3, 4, and 5 to me is just completely off the chart.
Well, we'll decide that. What time you gonna meet Monday?
I gotta find somebody, I already have taken somebody to the doctor, so I need to find someone to take care of that person first.
Well, gotta do it Monday or Tuesday. You gonna do it second?
Let's do it Tuesday.
I don't care.
Let's do it Tuesday. After the board, another day, like, Ellis got to get off at 5, so let's do it at 5. We can work it out and be done with it.
Ellis, Dr. Ellis, you ain't working till 5, don't you?
a lot later than that, but I mean,
What time
I'm just saying, I was just suggesting maybe 5. I know,
Tuesday at 5 good?
Tuesday, 5 o'clock Tuesday good for you?
well, you don't want to do 5 o'clock Monday and go ahead and tackle all of it on the same day?
5 o'clock ain't gonna be enough to get through all this, what we talking
Well,
about.
maybe we'll, but don't, we have to come back Tuesday. How about that? You can't come Monday.
That's what I'm saying, I need to take care, I gotta take somebody to the doctor.
And not Monday?
They can't drive on Monday. And the appointment's at 3 o'clock, no accident.
Dr. Ellis, you good for Tuesday?
Y'all got to do it for Tuesday.
You good for Tuesday?
The Tuesday.
You good for Tuesday?
I'll do Tuesday. 5.
Let's do it Tuesday then.
Tuesday, 5.
Okay.
Tuesday 5, is that it?
Can we say if you be or not?
How late can you be out? You just got the whole day tied up. Is the whole day gone, Mr. Gibb? Is your whole evening gone?
I'll make it happen. Always do.
So we're saying Tuesday at 5 o'clock, is good with you?
Maria, send her a reminder.
Are you requesting for me to be here, because I'm not sure?
You do all these maps and you.
No, we'll just get with you on this other map.
All right, so we're gonna draw these, Saturday maps, Greg will send them out tomorrow. We'll meet Tuesday at 5 o'clock.
Okay,
I need a
now,
motion. Second, I need a motion for the meeting.
Greg had something he wanted to bring up.
Send them up for the bid. What you said?
Well,
On the agenda, we were
What
supposed
you need
to.
to vote for?
I need a motion to meet Tuesday at 5 o'clock on.
Mr. Chairman, just got one question. When we have meetings like this, and maybe Mr. Mark can answer this, do we have to have a time frame to notify the public, the media?
48 hours. 48 hours.
40, okay, that's all I want to know.
Yeah.
But if you want to try and put this map orchestrated tonight,
I think
the thing,
You
Charles,
can't do it, all right?
we can talk about tonight.
we can talk about it tonight, but I'd like to be a little bit more specific with it when I look at it.
You call Mr. Martin in the morning.
Yeah, let's get a little bit specific in the morning.
Give Mr. Martin in the morning.
Yeah, and we'll come to the
How about
morning,
that?
we get together and do it.
In the morning.
You can do it over the phone.
That work?
Can you do it?
Yeah.
And then we'll get it done.
You might talk tonight, and they might call us after y'all.
Yeah, we'll talk tonight for a little bit, then we'll.
All right, so the next thing we need to do is set the public hearing. What's that?
We got to have about 17.
For November the 10th at 5 o'clock.
What day is that is?
That's the
So Wednesday, motion by Mr. Cameron, second by Mr. Britt.
That's a Wednesday.
Any discussion?
That's church night.
5 o'clock?
Wednesday.
A Wednesday. What day you talking about now? What day we talking about?
You gonna do it in the,
5
courthouse?
o'clock.
The employees be closed, the employees are off duty on Thursday.
Let's do it Wednesday at 5 o'clock.
That's the motion. You second it.
I second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed.
That's a public meeting.
Public hearing, November the 10th, 5
November
o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Okay, so Mr. Crosdale, you and Dr. Duffy, I'm gonna get with Greg, Ms. Jan's gonna draw you a new map tomorrow, Greg, get it soon, out to everybody as soon as you can, and we'll come back.
Let's look at it.
Tuesday at 5 o'clock.
Okay, I just want to pull some stuff together on this. So,
Okay, so everybody go adjourn.
I want to be so when I get it to you guys, so you can see exactly what it is. I want to be more details, so you can see exactly what it
We need
is.
to grow our county.
Yeah, this so we can see,
We need to grow
see
our
what,
county.
how it goes.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Where we at now?